Hey there. Good morning. So I talk to a lot of people on a daily, weekly basis that are making multiple six figures and that are looking for their next role. What I find is that they tend to say, "Well, I've got a short list. I've done something and I'm really proud of, which is I've come up with a list of 20 companies that I would want to work for." Well, if you limit it to 20 companies, you're going to be looking a long time. Rather than figuring out the specific companies that you want to work for and having a short list. Instead, pick the criteria that you would use to search for companies that would be perfect for you. Now, that criteria is usually what geographic location, which is less important these days because a lot of people work remotely, especially those that are director level and above, especially for the mid-tier companies, which is where the hiring action is right now, or at least the job creation. Anything over $1.5 billion in revenue or over 10,000 people, they're not even actually 5,000 people. They aren't creating jobs. They aren't growing. So you want to go for the growing pieces of the industry, and that's a certain size, which is mid-tier right now. All right. So that, but you also need to understand who is your target boss? Who is your target manager? So if you're looking for a VP position, it could be, depending on the size, it could be a senior VP or an executive VP, or it could be a C-suite because they don't have executive VPs or senior VPs, again, because of the size. So geographic location, size, and then industry. Choose what industry you want to go into. You don't have to stay in the same industry. In fact, 70% of people who change jobs these days change industries as well. So it's the norm and not the exception. So even though you don't have experience in a certain industry, doesn't mean you can't go into it successfully. Because everything that you do well is transferable. I promise. Even though you feel very niche, it's got to be specific. Let's say, for instance, you've always worked for banking or financial services, and they have very specific regulations. They're highly regulated. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to switch into healthcare, which is also highly regulated. It just has different regulations. It won't take you long to learn what those regulations are. But being able to say, I come from a highly regulated environment, so I'm very familiar with how to navigate through those very complex waters. That allows you to go into any other industry that's also highly regulated, so you don't have to stay with banking, for instance. All right. So you've got size, geographic location, industry, and then the person who would be your boss. What's that job title? What's the level at which they are? In other words, are they C-suite? Are they SVP because you're going for a bigger company? Those kind of things. So I want you to start making lists of your criteria, come up with a plan A, then come up with a plan B by changing one of those, then come up with a plan C by either changing that same thing again or changing a different aspect. And you want to come up with what I would call a career search target plan, where you've got plan A, plan B, plan C. You can do this for a whole page and start with plan A. And if you're not getting any results from plan A, go to plan B, and so on. Or if you run out of people to connect with, people to have conversations with. All right. Hope this helps. That's what I wanted to share this morning. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.